I've decided to start the stream early just to talk to you while we wait for the other people to arrive. So today we're going to be exploring mindfulness meditation. So it's a chance for you to actually practice some mindfulness, whether you're an experienced meditator, and I hope to share a different perspective and perhaps some tricks that can be really helpful for the practice, or some different approaches to what is the goal, or how you can train your mind. And if you're new, well, it's also going to be great. I'm going to introduce it in a way that is step by step. I'll guide the meditation, tell you clearly what to do in each step. So I hope it's a relaxing experience, a peaceful experience, and also hopefully insightful or self-inspiring. Here in this VR world, we have a community that comes each week. And, oh look, they're starting to arrive. You're always welcome to join, either here on the live streams, or to come in VR, or could come a little closer to be in the shot. Hey, so you can come in VR, have your whole hand, body experience, or you can also join via VR chat if you have a Windows PC, and then it's like coming in a video game. You get to move around and have a character, just not the whole hand control thing. So Creek, I was just telling everyone tonight we're going to do mindfulness. We're going to go deeper into the practice, have a longer meditation, as well as focus on tricks for how to have the meditation practice work better, different perspectives about how mental training combined with mindfulness can make your mindfulness practice better. And some people might be curious why having a longer meditation would be worthwhile. You know, we live busy lives. And I want to just have an analogy that, you know, let's say you've got to a party and you've arrived and you're in an okay mode, but maybe an hour or two in the party, you're having an amazing time. You've warmed up, you've dropped all your concerns, and you're just really present, enjoying the people and having a good time. Now, mindfulness meditation is sort of similar. We want to get into the meditation. And so, yeah, a party is socializing and feeling fun. Mindfulness practice is watching each moment of your consciousness, finding this deep peace within ourselves. And the longer we sit there, the deeper we go, the more peaceful and still it is. So that's why we're going to have a longer sitting meditation today. Now, some of you might be like, well, you know, you don't always find this deep peace and stillness. I hope the way that I guide and describe today will actually take you deeper into stillness and peace. But to respond to that point is a way to think about while you're trying to find mental stillness and there's activity happening is if you imagine your mind is like a field, a garden, or somewhere where you want to be growing crops, and we're planting seeds of goodness, or we're trying to make the mind fertile. Meditation can be seen as tilling the soil. It's like getting rid of the rocks and pulling out the weeds. So if your meditation happens to be an active one, going longer and seeing more stuff, it's like tilling deeper, making your soil more fertile, more fresh, more ready for ease, more ready for confidence, more ready to be present in every moment. You could think of it as going deeper, or you could also think that the field of your mind it's a big place. So you've just spent more time preparing more of your mind, that everything is more ready to be still, more ready to be aware, more ready to be empowered. So anyone on the live stream, I'm going to be checking on on all the platforms. If any of you write comments, they should come through. I've seen some weeks not all of the comments come through. Some of the platforms don't connect every time, so I'm sorry if it doesn't work. I hope that you could join us here in VR. But yeah, please, if you've got any questions or comments, let me check right now.
NeoJax, do you link the Discord on the live stream videos?
I do not. That is a really good suggestion. I just closed the chat window, so let me reopen it. There it is. Awesome. All right, so if anyone has... If you did just send a message...
Hey, Creek, how you doing?
Please send it again.
Good.
And hey, Shreximus, I'm just chatting to the live streamers, let them know what's going on. Today we're going to be doing a deeper session into mindfulness, single-pointed awareness, with some different perspectives and different practices to be able to guide the mind more fully into the moment. Let me check the time. Yeah, I guess it's time to begin. All right, so
Cool.
I'm going to ring our welcome bell. We're going to line up, and as you enter the temple, I know I say this often, but I just want to reiterate it. Really set the intention that you're going into something truly sacred. I mean, imagine if this temple was a place that you visited that for you was the most sacred place ever. What that would feel like if you were actually going somewhere like that. But you could also think, there's this amazing place within you. There's this potential for profound peace or complete shift in perspective in life. So try to enter that place with all your love and all your focus. So we bow as we enter to really give that moment of honoring and entering. We turn to the enlightened being. Perhaps you'll think of the enlightened being within yourself and just really be present with it. Perhaps you'll be grateful to the teachers who taught me and that I'm then teaching you. And they learn from others, and they learn from others. Thousands of years of people dedicating themselves to wisdom and goodness. And some of those people reached profound enlightenment that impacted so many people. And it could just be a respect to all of those people throughout history. It could be respect to that part of you that's going to go and have a continued positive impact on others in the future. And that will then be passed on to others. So as you bow to the enlightened being, make of that as you wish. But especially knowing that that part of you, the peace and the wisdom, or that part of all of us, it deserves so much more respect and attention and love. All right, so let's make our way in. So for those of you on the live stream, again, I'm sorry. Still trying to figure out how to stop this from crashing. So let's just start with our intention setting. Before I mention the intention I'm going to set, just take a moment to think about what's the intention you're setting. What are you here for? What do you hope to cultivate or practice or experience today? My intention for us is that this session will be deeply life transformative. That mindfulness in each moment, you know, when you kind of snap out of some mood and you're like, okay, how do I want to be? And that's like this different level of empowerment. I hope that every moment is this awakening. Just always snapping out of any old habits and just totally present to choose not just peace or happiness. I want you to be choosing bliss, confidence, power. In your conversations, be choosing wild love, inspiration, or whatever you would really want to bring to every conversation that you have, so that you can make your life awesome. And together we all make everybody's lives amazing. And I hope that's also driven by a vision of what would the world be like if everybody was snapping out of it, waking up, and we're all choosing to make the world as we imagine it's meant to be. Okay, so with that intention, we're going to grab a seat. Let me just set up the camera again. I did have the camera set up with like 3 different cameras really nicely. So sorry about my VR chat crashing. Here we go. This is us for now. Okay, can everybody hear me all right?
Yep, sound great.
Excellent. Let me just check again on the live stream. Cool. All right, so my intention for tonight was to go deeper into mindfulness practice, single-pointed concentration, and to carry that meditative, single-pointed awareness into every moment of our life. What's it like? I said, to like snap out of it or to wake up, to carry that being really present and really awake into each moment. So just by talking about it and thinking about it, there's some part of our brain that's imagining being more aware. It's already working. Each moment you spend in these ideas, you're training yourself to be more mindful. Now, I start with that thought because having been to many different meditation schools, I see the way they describe it and the outcomes they talk about. It can be vastly different. And so I really want your focus, your thinking of this practice to be about things that would be super helpful for you. To be present, to be awake, to be peaceful, to be empowered, to be able to choose your state of mind. As far as I think of mindfulness, that's really central to the whole teaching and the practice. And that should always be how we think about it and how we approach it from what I've experienced. Is anyone else? Yeah, I know you've been in different meditation schools or even different coaching schools. When it comes to mindfulness, has anyone else heard some other part of mindfulness or some result of mindfulness that you think is also like centrally important? Creek?
Super important and kind of implied is it helps you communicate with people and yourself so much better now that you're in a place where you're deeply listening, not just to what they're saying, but maybe even to what they're not saying, what's implied, their body language, the energies that they have. It can be profoundly helpful in communication and appreciating the experience of the people, including yourself, with whom you're communicating with.
So sorry about me needing to grab a chair just then. So if I was to reiterate, you were saying that while we're more present, you can really hear what other people are saying and experience them as they are rather than just your own thoughts about what's going on. And even look at them more carefully and notice how they're feeling and be more aware of what they're possibly thinking behind the thoughts that they're saying. Maybe even notice the things that they're not saying. You might be able to pick it up in their body language or just piecing it together. That's absolutely a wonderful benefit from being mindful, being more present, snapping out of the busyness of the mind and just choosing to be really present with what's happening. If I was to expand on that point a little bit, it's also not just our conversations, but being more present in general. You may be able to enjoy music more richly or to watch a stream flowing by and see more beauty in it. Just being more present with anything in life can enrich it more and allow you to appreciate it more, or when it comes to conversations or other activities, to engage with it more fully. Yeah, absolutely. So if I was to then reiterate, the goal of today is to practice this awareness and snapping out of our thought to be really present. And as we become really present, be able to more completely engage with our life. Wonderful. Thanks, Creek. To emphasize my point of why I started with this, some meditation schools might start with the difficulties of meditation, or they might start with something supernatural, or they might start with, we're just going to breathe, but no explanation of why or what. And so that's why I'm really emphasizing, as we envisage what we're creating and what we're practicing, that will be what we practice, and that'll be what we cultivate. As we sit and breathe, if we have the idea that you're unifying all the parts of your mind to be super present, and if you notice your mind wander, if your thought is, I'm training myself to instantly be more awake, you're going to have a different experience than if you notice your mind wander and then somehow you think about coming back to breathing somehow. So yeah, we want to be training ourselves to be instantly, completely present, mentally empowered in every single moment. So I know everybody who's here in the room has been exposed to mindfulness. We have some people on the live stream who might not. So I'm going to try just take a step back and describe the practice. And for those of you who already know the practice, please try and listen with fresh ears to see if perhaps this is a different approach or even a subtly different practice that will have a vastly different outcome. So, mindfulness meditation or single-pointed breathing meditation, awareness meditation, it's a very simple practice. We just breathe and we concentrate on our breath. And the reason we do that is because if you're not doing anything else except breathing, all that's left is to just notice your awareness. What is it right now to be awake? You can be smelling the breath. You can be hearing it. You can notice how you feel. You can notice how the tone of your inner voice, or maybe you've calmed the inner voice and you notice what your consciousness feels like as it follows the breath. You can notice as your attention moves around. And maybe when you first start, your attention jumps around, and then as you refine it more and more, you can see ever more detail of how your conscious experience feels, how it moves, how you can direct it more powerfully. So we're just going to sit and breathe, but with this amazing intention of learning our own consciousness. Now, before we dive into it, just a couple more thoughts. Around the time that I discovered mindfulness meditation, I was also exploring hypnosis. And in hypnosis, they have all these great practices to take you deep into an altered state of consciousness. Maybe you'll imagine you're on an island and the sun's rays move across your body and it's just beautifully relaxing. Or maybe you feel every muscle in your body and you take your body down into relaxation. They would also use auto-suggestion. So they'd say something like, I'm going to count from 20 down to 1, and each number you'll go deeper into hypnosis. And that might sound silly, but for a large number of people, being told that and then having the numbers count down with the voice going down, they would find themselves just feel this wave of peace and stillness just come across them. So I'd had this experience of very quickly, powerfully being able to go into an altered state. And then I was going to different meditation schools where some of them, they'd be like, just breathe. And it might take 20 years, but you'll get to a point where there's some stillness. Or then I'd go to other schools where they'd talk about all the struggles of the mind and then say, okay, sit and struggle with your mind. And some of those places I never even heard someone say, oh yeah, I got to a point where things were still. And then I'd go to some other places where they would focus on the stillness, and you could just see at the end of it, everybody was in a state of such deeper peace. And why do I mention these different schools? I guess a lot of us have heard about meditation in lots of different places, and we bring different ideas. So I hope that you can just put all of them down, even some of the ideas that might have seemed really helpful, and approach it with the idea of just purely watching your consciousness and coming into stillness faster and more beautifully than you ever thought was possible. So I described in hypnosis, they use suggestion or auto-suggestion, and what is said, the mind then does it. So I hope as we are getting ready for this meditation, my suggestions of stillness are impacting your mind in all different ways. But I hope you're also giving yourself suggestion of, hey, I'm going to give myself this time for a deep peace. I'm going to watch my awareness, and it's going to be beautiful and amazing. Letting yourself get ready for the practice with positive suggestions. One moment. So the way that we take ourselves into mindfulness can really make a huge difference. So I described in hypnosis, you'll do these body scans and there'll be these suggestions, and it gets you into another state. If any of you have meditated a bunch, you might have noticed that your mind might start kind of brimming, and then after a while it settles down. And then maybe there's these states where it's even more like unified and powerful. I hope to take us more quickly into that still state and that unified state, so that you have more time of just really watching the awareness. So some of the things that help with that is the intention that you set, the way we've described the practice, but also the way that you bring your focus into the breath, and the way that you bring yourself back into the breath in each moment, and the way that you envisage the stillness. So these are things I'm going to emphasize in today's practice. Creek, you had a question or a comment?
So, I'm trying to help bring really deep levels of mindfulness to my daily life, because I can get kind of maybe simple levels of it, but not like the profound kinds. And so I'm wondering if meditating with my eyes open is more helpful or less helpful. I don't know if it's better to just continue to develop deeper levels of meditation and mindfulness, or is it better to change my technique to make it more easier, I guess, to implement during the day?
I'd recommend both at different times. Think of a musician. Sometime they want to be learning music theory. Sometimes they want to be jamming with their friends. And having both lets them be a more rich and well-rounded musician. So when you practice with your eyes closed and you're watching your consciousness and just purely your consciousness, you're really, all that's there is your mind. When your eyes are open, then there's some visual stimulus, and it's just a little more of the things around you. And you're going to be practicing subtly different things with each of those. And some places will say, hey, practice entirely with the eyes open. Like different schools, different people have different experiences with each. I'm feeling inspired to say to you now, maybe you want to start eyes closed, get really into the stillness, and then have the last part of your practice with the eyes open, so you're then bringing that mindfulness out into your life. But that's just an idea I had. Best is you just experiment with yourself. It's your mind. Our minds are different from day to day, from person to person, from month to month. So our practices and the impact it has changes subtly. So yeah, that's what I want to say about that. We've got some people on the live stream. Ekis, who normally joins us, it says he's on the stream today. Thanks for hosting this. Peace. Oh, I guess you guys can't see me make the peace sign.
Love
Uh,
you, Access.
Yeah, we love you. And then Phaser Pigs on Twitch said, "Suck, eat me." So good to have you here, Phaser Pigs, and I hope that this is really beneficial for your life. Great. And to all the people here on LinkedIn, I hope this is also professionally beneficial, and you can see that you can take it into every part of your life and be able to bring awareness, strength, professionalism, loving kindness to every situation with any kind of person that comes into your world. So thanks for the comment, Phaser Pigs. Stay tuned. All right. So I guess it's time for us to begin our meditation. So it's going to be a longer meditation, so I invite everybody to get comfortable. And just a quick check-in with the posture. You might be sitting with the legs crossed on a meditation cushion or on the floor. If that's the case, I just invite you to check in with your hands and your shoulders and your hips and your spine. You might be sitting on a seat. I invite you to get both feet flat on the ground and just scan up through your body, checking everything is symmetrical. Arms, legs. Some people prefer to meditate standing or lying with one hand holding the head up. Some people meditate in different yoga postures. So whichever posture you've chosen for today's meditation, just be aware of it for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath. And just letting the body relax and be, like you could just forget about it and it would just sit there. And I invite everybody to just gently and slowly close the eyes. And maybe you notice as you close your eyes that your mind is now there inside of your head more. Rather than your attention being out around you, you're suddenly maybe seeing the light coming through the eyelids, or maybe you're in darkness, or some of you, your imagination might have straight away started to imagine some images or colors. So we can just notice, what is your awareness like? Right now, what's the tone of your voice, your inner imagination voice? What does it feel like to be you right now? How's your breathing right now? Is it slow or fast? Is it shallow or deep? Does it feel smooth or peaceful? And now we set the intention to draw our attention into the breath. So we saw parts of our mind And now imagine focusing all of it into your breathing. Hearing the breath, feeling the breath, feeling the way it feels to breathe, the emotion of the breath, the idea of mindful stillness, unified awareness in the breath. Just bringing your whole self into the breath. And that was a lot of ways to focus on the breath. So let's just do one at a time to really draw ourselves in deeper. So I want you to focus on the physical sensation of the air coming in and out of the nostril. Trying not to think about it or use any words, just feeling the physical sensation. Putting all of your awareness into feeling the breath. Feeling with more detailed awareness. Noticing different qualities of feeling the breath. You might notice the in-breath brushing one direction and the out-breath brushing the other direction and feeling it in slightly different spot. You might notice the in-breath is cooler and the out-breath is warmer. You might notice all different kinds of physical feelings as you focus on feeling the breath. What does it feel like to bring your attention more into feeling the breath? Watch how you guide your attention more completely into just feeling the breath. Watch how your awareness is in those longer silences. Aiming to really watch every little moment of the breath. Watching every moment of your consciousness. You might like to experiment with taking the deepest breaths you can and feel the effort or focus as you fill up the lungs. And just really flowing through every moment of the breath as it changes, filling it up. Then the moment you let go, just really watching and feeling the whole flow of the breath. And then just allow your concentration to relax for a moment and just notice. Perhaps some of you will have a greater sense of relaxation or inner peace. Or some of you might have noticed how your attention moved and appreciate that parts of you learned how to see that. Or you might have already known how to see it and you just got better at seeing it quicker. Maybe you brought yourself back into just feeling, and you can appreciate every part of you that learned how to guide your attention. With a gentle smile, you can just imagine having greater peace, greater awareness, and greater directing your attention in every part of your life. So now after that short recovery, I want you to re-engage your concentration. Step back into fully being aware of just feeling the breath. Imagine everything else has disappeared. Everything. And in this moment, all that exists is your awareness and your breath. Next, we're going to shift our awareness into hearing the breath. some of us may hear our breath quite strongly. You may notice that you're thinking other words, and so you hear that inner voice. So try to make the whole of your auditory awareness just hearing the breath. Some of you, your breath might sound so subtle, so perfectly smooth, so easy and quiet, ever so delicately hearing every moment of the breath. If you notice that you're still thinking words, you can choose either at the end of each sentence fully engage with the breath, or even try to stop mid-sentence or mid-word. As soon as you're aware of it, hear the breath. Or you may like to choose to make your inner voice just say, just really listening to your breath. Be fascinated by each moment of your awareness. Watch it lovingly. If you'd like to, you can just keep hearing every little moment, trying to notice ever more little moments. Let your whole awareness be fully present, noticing your consciousness with such fine-grained awareness. Or you might like to notice the peace, the stillness that the meditation has created, and compare that to what it was like before meditation. And just imagine going even deeper into meditation. A greater sense of stillness, mental spaciousness. a greater awareness of what's happening in your consciousness. A more immediate and more powerful sense that you direct your concentration. More completely learning how to shape your conscious moment every moment. As we keep breathing and just listening to your breath. Perhaps you're easily going deeper. Or perhaps you're feeling a greater sense of strength in your awareness. Or if you'd like some fresh motivation, you could imagine watching your awareness is like growing a beautiful flower or a fruit tree. It's delicate. It may seem to grow slowly, but as you hold your attention on it, you're tending to it. You're giving it light, perfect nutrients. And as your awareness transforms, you have this beauty or these fruits that will last well into your future. So each moment of awareness, give it this strong intention for enlightenment, for pure consciousness. You could go deeper into meditation if you like. But the rest of us can just let our concentration rest for a moment. Little time for concentration to recharge. You can imagine every day having a greater strength of concentration. You can imagine feeling more peaceful and naturally more happy and more present. Each moment of this practice, it's training your awareness to be free and empowered. We're going to have one more dive deeper into mindfulness. So if you're still in deep mindfulness, just stay there. Go even deeper. If your mind feels tired, you can just let it wander or think about smiles or happiness for a minute while you just let it all recharge, ready for the next dive, the next endurance. You might like to imagine all the neurons recharging, filling up again with the neurotransmitters that will help them concentrate and grow and transform. You might like to imagine what the brain is doing as it practices mindfulness. The parts that are awareness, each moment that they are aware, they're more hooked in with the rest of the mind. Your awareness is more connected to all of you. Your sense of peace and freedom is more connected to all of you. You could imagine if you were to cultivate some state and connect it to every part of you, what would you like that part to be like? For me, it would feel completely empowered, completely confident, total peace and ease. A sense of calm in every situation, a creative playfulness. So as we sit in mindfulness and create these beautiful states of mind, we connect it to every part of ourselves. Really sit with that intention. Every moment here, you're practicing your consciousness, practicing impacting every part of your future. As we now enter again our last deep dive into concentrated single point awareness. So bring your attention back into where the breath is entering and leaving the nose, and just really feel it. 10 intentional breaths. The start of every breath. The moment it changes directions. We'll take 5 more slow, deep breaths as you keep feeling the breath. But feel yourself going deeper into meditation. Deeper into peace and presence. And next we're going to hear every breath. Imagine the whole of your audio mind is just the sound of the breath. The voice has completely stopped. How soothing it is for thoughts to be still. Just the flowing of the breath. Awareness with no words. Maybe you're experiencing that. Or I invite you to imagine what it would be like. And you may notice that imagining it actually directs your awareness to have more of it. Learning how to direct and shape your consciousness. Feeling and hearing every moment of the breath. As we go longer into the quiet, still watching every moment. Learning how to bring yourself more deeply every moment. Next, we'll bring our attention into the emotion of the breath. For some of you, that will be purely neutral. For some of you, it will be a sense of deep peace. Some will find a joy in the tranquility. Some of you will feel empowered, confident. Just breathing with the feeling of each breath. Watching each moment of your awareness, bring it into presence, your most enlightened, blissful, empowered mind. You might like to imagine what it would be like to meditate if you were a fully enlightened mind. Perfect bliss, perfect awareness, perfect ease. You may notice that you glimpsed it, and then other thoughts arose. Just keep going into imagining that enlightened mind. Then for the last part of this meditation, You may choose to appreciate any insights or awareness you cultivated. You may choose to imagine these good feelings and awareness into different parts of your life. You may choose to decide and affirm that you'd like to meditate more or longer. Just a couple of minutes to wrap up the meditation in whichever way feels most inspiring or enlightening for you. If you're still in meditation, that's okay. You might like to notice how long that felt. Maybe you had some profound moments. Maybe you had some moments where you really noticed some parts of your mind and what it was like to let them settle and become empowered. Maybe you had, as you watched guiding your mind, you found some ways that were much more effective at guiding your mind. And just affirming you've learned that you can guide your mind more powerfully, more easily, more quickly. So that was a 40-minute meditation. I say that just some of you, it might have felt like 5 minutes. Some it might have felt like 2 hours. Many, it felt like 40 minutes. It's just interesting to see how our sense of time can dilate. Also, maybe the 40-minute meditation might have been longer than what you usually sit, but maybe only 10 or 20 minutes longer. So I mention it because perhaps you went a lot deeper, or it felt so much stronger, or it was a brain workout. So maybe those extra 10 or 20 minutes every few days might really seem worth it to you. So let's all start to stretch and just feel our bodies and minds feeling refreshed. Make sure you also stretch your mouth muscles, maybe with a look of excitement or happiness. And I left my seat over here. Okay. So my plan now was mostly for us to discuss questions, insights you might have had, moments you wanted to share, how you apply mindfulness to different parts of your life. So, people on the live stream, please jump in. People here. And I would like to respond to whatever people say or ask, but I also believe in all of you. So this is a time for open discussion and collaborative enlightenment. Cool, so who wants to jump in first? A thought or anything? Alright, Creek, what do you got?
So, first of all, that was like so powerful, dude. Thank you. That was so cool. So first thing I noticed was the space of awareness that I became to like see much more clearly. It's like my brain almost like the awareness of the breath. It's like it got bored of being aware of only breath, that it became aware of the space of awareness.
Hey Creek, I'm sorry to do this again, but I left my camera over there off the stage. I thought I'd be able to listen properly, but I'd love to hear again what you were saying.
It's totally okay. Okay, so it was really, really powerful, and I became so deeply aware of the space of awareness, and it felt super huge, and in a way, my body felt, it's a good way to put it, like translucent, like perfectly clear, like glass. And there was just this massive space of awareness that I felt like really playful in. It was so interesting. So yeah, that's also, I think I took probably the clearest and freshest breaths I've ever taken in my life.
Hey.
So much. That was amazing.
I feel like that should be an ad for some like breath freshener or something. So I just wanted to say that idea that you felt the space of awareness being so big and your body being translucent, to someone who hasn't meditated before, that could sound just like nonsense. But I have had similar sensations in meditation. And I've said to us that our sense of space or consciousness could feel big. So maybe that was auto-suggestion, but I've never mentioned our body feeling translucent. And that's something that just happens to people sometimes while they meditate. It's just this clear freedom in the body. And I think it's just wild that these experiences can happen, even though that's not the intention with meditation. You know, we're training ourselves to have this peace and this awareness. But the fact that these cool things happen, I love it. So for people who have no idea what it meant for your sense of, how did you describe it? The spaciousness of consciousness. Do you want to like tell us more about what? I mean, I can relate because I can imagine when I've had things like that, but maybe I had something totally different. So let's hear what was that like for you, or what was that?
So the best way I can explain it is, what's a good way? So you know how if you say a word over and over again, it loses meaning?
Sometimes.
And it kind of transforms into something completely different. Having been so aware of my breath, I think for so long, it's like innately I became aware of the space capable of understanding breath, if that makes any sense, where the sensation of breath just kind of lost maybe what I'm used to in my mind identifying with it, like with my like space and my person, like that just kind of went away, and I became really aware of the kind of spaciousness of awareness, I guess, the best way to put it.
I love that I asked you to describe it because I guess that's different to what I was imagining. This is what's so wild about consciousness. It's so different to just seats and rocks. And spending time to describe it, we get to explore each other's minds. Times where I've felt my consciousness expanding. Some people might have experienced when you were like feeling sad or shy. You kind of feel small. And then you might have experienced when you're feeling really relaxed or confident, you feel more expressive. And sometimes when you're really like expressive, you feel like you could fill up a room. Or you might have met someone and they walk in, it's like they light up the room. Their awareness becomes bigger. Their presence becomes bigger. So I've had times in meditation where I felt enormous, like the size of a city. Just this huge, wow, I could do anything or be anything, and I just had this profound peace and strength. And then I've had other times where I felt this massiveness, but it was like I was some giant enlightened being, giant statue that could last for millions of years, that people come to the statue and it inspires them. I hope every one of us feels this enlightenment within ourselves, that we can share it with other people. And then other times, I felt this expansiveness where the scope of possibilities just became so much bigger. So if there was a map of what you could act like, so here's one way of acting, or another way, and these are all the ways that we kind of normally think are normal. And suddenly my map became massive. So if this was like happiness and feeling okay and feeling kind, I was suddenly like, oh wow, I could feel infinite bliss, or love and joy for everybody, or just wowzers beyond what I have words for. And not just in emotions, it's like the way my attention moves, the way I experience each moment just became so much more possibility. So yeah, consciousness can expand in all kinds of ways. So Creek, thanks for sharing. Shreximus?
Yeah, I had a much, maybe a more simple, but really profound for me. I mean, thank you very much. I got in really deep, really fast, and it was when you had said we're gonna go in for one more dive that I was like, okay, I really want to do this. Let's do it. We're gonna dive. And I had switched. I'd switched I won't worry about why, but I'd switched from breathing through my nose to breathing through my mouth. I think part of it was I was noticing, the air is also affecting through the mouth. That's interesting. Let's look at that closer. So I started breathing through the mouth, and I got really, I was able to really intricately notice how the micro movements of the jaw, the micro movements of the tongue, and I was able to really go, oh, that's how you watch that. That's watching it the whole cycle through.
Wow.
And I was like, that's really interesting. There was a lot more micro movements that I wasn't noticing. And then when at some point you said, oh, if you need to give your mind a rest because you gave it a workout, I thought, oh my God, yes, exactly that. Because it feels like in my head, it feels like an actual muscle that has been like lifting weights over and over and over. And I wouldn't call it a headache. It's like one of those, I don't know if you've ever like enjoyed going to the gym and done a lot of push-ups and you're like, oh, I feel great. But like I can tell, I've worked my muscles. It feels a bit like that. And I got to a kind of stillness that I'm not sure if I've ever gotten to quite that deep of a stillness before. And maybe even I think cooler than that was when you said what if, for two reasons. One, I don't know why the suggestion what if worked so well for me, but that's one. And two, earlier today I was kind of lost in worry over things that I know a lot of people could very well not worry about. And I remembered, I thought of you saying things like, what if I was a little bit more happy? And I decided, I thought to myself, what if I just didn't worry? And it's not like I've erased the worry forever, but for a few moments I was like, oh my gosh, it's okay to not
Hooray.
worry about this thing. So that was really cool. So that's a lot
That's
to
so
put
cool.
in a one little thought, but yeah.
You know, as you said, well, for that moment, you're like, hey, what if there's no worries? I just imagine like a crowd of angels just singing, ah, like for that moment you were enlightened.
It was kind of like that. It wasn't like in a like I won't say it was like a spiritual experience and like my life has changed. I mean, maybe it will over time as I continue doing that. Maybe it really will change my life. But for a couple moments, it was like angels. I was like, oh my gosh, how silly. Because it wasn't even like a big worry. I have bigger things to worry about, and I was worried about like what someone is gonna think about me, which is normally for me not something I do very much. And I had been worrying. I mean, today it was 5 o'clock, and I realized, wait, did I eat today? Because I'd just been spending all day worrying, and then I was like, what if I just didn't? And for a moment, yeah, it was like angels singing.
Awesome.
That's awesome, dude.
You know, as we were practicing today, if our mind does other things, we want to bring it back to the breath as soon as we notice. And in our day-to-day life, imagine if you'd noticed the worries 2 hours earlier and were like, whoa, I've got a whole bunch of ways to not worry, to come into peace. And so the more quickly you come back into that awareness, or like snap out of it or wake up, the more wonderful our lives are. And ultimately, as we were breathing, every moment of the breath, every moment. So imagine if you were taking that awareness and freedom into every moment of your life. So that profound, or yet simple thing, if you had that all the time, some would say that's a form of enlightenment.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And in the practice, it was like, at the start, it was the time in between thoughts got longer and longer. So at first it was like I'd have a thought every 10 seconds at most, or at least. And then it was 20 seconds and 30 seconds until like I had like.
Mm-hmm. Is anyone out there a Windows or VR chat technician who could help me from stopping this to crash? Or any enthusiasts out there want to buy me a new computer?
Like weird VR things that happen when you're like taking care of it.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome back, Neotech.
I thought you merged with nature for a second or something.
Yeah, we were.
I did.
We were contemplating really hard on what I said.
You guys rock. All right.
You too.
I love how you described how the space between thoughts just got longer and longer. And yeah, the more we practice, the more present that awareness becomes. And you can imagine not just in meditation, but in your day-to-day, if the time of awareness, time of stillness, you just have more and more and more of that until that takes over. And, you know, in meditation, sometimes the mind will wander and you'll be off on this track for, I don't know, let's say a minute, and then you notice it. And then sometimes even you're like, oh, I noticed it, and then you come back. Hopefully you'll be coming back within seconds and you'll notice it straight away. But yeah, you could look at these worries as like the meditation of your day. Your mind went off track for a while, and then you noticed it and you came back, and then you have these times of peace and spaciousness for a long time. And hopefully the next time you go off track, you notice it super quickly and you come back again. Yeah, I love to think of our whole life as a meditation, our whole life as a practice. Did I miss anything, or Shrexamus, is there something more you want to say?
I don't know. I just
Actually, there was something else I wanted to say something else I wanted to say in response to what you said before. So I'll let you polish that thought. Some of you know that I have a toddler, and when he gets tired, he's much more distractible. He'll have more trouble doing the things that we ask him to do. And he'll want to grab this bowl, and then he'll want to grab the wood, and he'll be walking there, and then he'll see the cushion. His mind, his attention is more tired. And some of you might have noticed when people are beginning to meditate, a longer breathing meditation, after a little bit, your concentration muscles can get tired and your mind does this wandering thing. I want to be careful to say that, because even beginners, if you frame it in a nice way, you can have it where you can have long, amazing meditations. But there is also the tendency that tiredness happens. I've also been going to a lot of workout sessions online lately where the instructors will have intense pushes and then recharge moments. And I guess combining that awareness of what happens to my toddler and having these pushes and these recharges is why I explicitly did that in these sessions today. Often in meditations, I will have this phased approach for the deeper meditators to be able to just go intense the whole way, and for other people to have the rests. But today I really wanted to say it, just so you people who weren't aware that the mind is like this muscle, you can see, hey, you can push it, and if you want to go longer, you can rest it in a really nice, positive way, and then dive deeper in. So I'm really glad that you like that, Shrexamus.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it really literally feels like a muscle in my head that I just deadlifted with. But the thought I was polishing off was how powerful a tool that and the what if questions to myself have been.
Do you mean when I said, what if you were an enlightened mind meditating right now?
Yeah, you used it a couple different times, I think. I often hear you say, when you're doing your happiness meditations and you're recounting them, you'll say like, oh, I told myself, what if I was a little bit more happier? And what if I was a little bit more happier? And I don't know why I zoned in on that what if.
Sorry, it just really works for me. I've practiced it so many times.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like when you were saying, what if, I think you said, what if I went a little bit deeper? Or maybe I said that to myself. I actually can't remember. I think I said it to myself. What if I went a little bit deeper? And I went a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I definitely had some ideas around that.
Yeah.
But I love watching in meditation. I might have said something while you were in your breath, and then your subconscious took that idea and then rephrased it in a way that's perfect for you. It's just a cool thing that meditation can do. And or maybe you didn't even hear me say that similar stuff. It's just you now have these awesome tools, and your brain's like, yeah, cool, I'm going to pull out these tools and train myself and fine-tune my mind. So we actually do have literal muscles in our brain. The muscles around our blood vessels that can direct where we get more oxygen, they do actually get stronger with practice. So there are literal muscles, and there are also, in the same way that our muscles build up energy that you then burn and get tired, the brain cells do exactly the same thing with ATP, the same energy store. Plus, the brain cells also build up the neurotransmitters, the things that they use to speak to each other, and they can run out. And they restock pretty quickly, but yeah, you do have these literal stores that build up, get stronger, get exhausted, and refresh. Yep. Cool. Thanks for the ideas and the sharing.
Thank you.
Let me check the live stream. Oh, Marlisa's joined us. She sends a love to everybody. For those of you who meet Amazer in VR, Marlisa's VR name is Amazer. And as we started meditating, Ekis said, "Hey, love you all." I missed that message just as we started. Hope you're still here with us, Ekis. Awesome. Before we go on to the next comment or question, I just want to reiterate the best of what I heard from Creek and Treximus. Just because it's really nice, not just to celebrate it, but to relive it and rethink it. Then we can have more of these really great moments. So Creek said you had the clearest, freshest breath of your life. And you also had this big sense of spaciousness. And Shrexmas was saying that you went deeper into stillness than ever before.
Yeah, at least one of the deepest. Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I don't want to go into the details again. I just wanted to reiterate the main things. But it definitely sounded like you found some ways to guide your mind, tools in which you can steer your awareness and your state of consciousness more powerfully. Awesome. And for all of you right now on the live stream or watching this anytime in the future, I also wish for you to become masters of your own awareness. Not just in meditation, but in every moment of your life. Cool. Does anyone else have any nice moments they want to share? Or questions? Even if it's something simple. Yeah, Omi?
So, I'm still kind of new to these sessions. It's probably only like my 10th time, but every time that, like, we meditate, that I find that I lose track of time completely, and it gets more and more significant each time. Like, I was very surprised when you said 40 minutes. I thought it was like 15 or 20 minutes. I find myself just losing more and more time each time I meditate. So.
Cool. How does that feel? Is it like surprising or amazing or just curious or something else?
It feels nice. I have a very active, like ADD kind of mind, so any silence and at all is rare for me because I have to meditate with my eyes closed because my eyes will like catch the little things flying outside and just scream at me to look at them. So being able to actually sit still for any length of time is just really just not something I've ever been able to do.
Well, I'm really glad that we can make that space together.
Yeah, I really hope I can continue to get deeper, I suppose.
Yeah, I will say.
Figure out more.
I struggle pretty hard with ADD. I used to have to take medication and stuff. Meditation, for me, has wildly changed my life. So I would say keep up with it, and it hopefully will do the same for you.
Yeah, it seems to be going in the right direction.
How many times a week do you meditate, Omi?
Currently it's just whenever I come to the session, so it's probably about once.
Cool. So I would thoroughly recommend try and find a way to do it a few times a week, or even better, once a day.
Okay.
Just like if you were trying to get fit, working out once a month would be okay, but once a week would be all right, and 3 or 4 times a week would be great. With training our mind, if you do it every day is when it gets better and better and better, like noticeably better.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you'll get to a point where you have more of these moments of stillness and you start to think of yourself as, yeah, I have these moments of stillness. It's more part of me. And when you start thinking of yourself like that, then you get even more of those moments.
I find it slowly progresses and gets a little bit stronger the longer the meditation session is. Like, I start breathing and counting my breaths, and then the breathing kind of just starts happening on its own, and all I'm doing is counting in my mind. And then the counting kind of goes into the background, and then everything kind of slowly fades into the background until there's kind of a nothingness.
In some meditation schools, they describe those nothingnesses as a state of immersion. They've got a fancy word for it, jhana, which is the word for immersion. So that's really wonderful to hear that you can get yourself into that state of immersion. That's awesome.
Yeah, feels nice. I just have to figure out where to go from there, how to get deeper.
I would recommend have them more often.
Okay.
Yeah. And depending on the
Certainly got the time.
depending on the schools you study, some schools will describe just jhana. Some have like 4 different stages of jhana. Some have 7 different stages. So you might like to look up the different stages of jhana, and that could give you ideas of where to go from there. But I think more practical and more likely to give you the results will be just aim to meditate more often and just keep watching your awareness, learning how to guide your mind, not just in meditation, but as you practice it here, then you practice it throughout the day, so you can then shape the state of mind you want during the daytime, like during the rest of the life.
Mm-hmm. Do you happen to know how to spell that, jhana?
I think it's DJANA.
DJ. Okay.
Oh, I thought it was JHANA.
Yeah, I mean it's a Pali word, so
Oh, is it?
how we write it depends on the translator. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interchangeable.
Google will be able to spell it however you try. I think. Yeah, if you look it up and it doesn't just come up instantly in your search, put it in the Discord and we'll all share some good links. Creek?
Yeah, very quickly. I did, when I was super deep, remember to open my eyes and to continue meditating, and it was seamless. So didn't affect it at all. But I did notice that it was very difficult to move my eyes around. And then I just ended up closing them anyway.
Yeah, some people find when they're deep in meditation, if they wanted to move their body's sort of asleep. And moving your eyes and putting your attention on different things, there's actually a lot that goes on in the mind to do that. You got to think about this new thing and draw your attention to there. So if your brain is calmed right down and still, I guess it doesn't want to do that other stuff because right now it's doing this other thing. So yeah, it's cool that you got to notice that. I just looked out and my baby is standing there watching the screen, looking at what we're doing. Do you want to all wave to him? Now you can wave to the live stream.
Hello.
Hello.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Erasmus, I sent you a link on the Discord too. I didn't know what your
Oh, cool.
Discord name was. Yeah, it's the Suda that we read last week.
Oh, hell yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So, does anyone have any other questions or thoughts? I want to say thank you to everyone who shared. It's a real honor and pleasure that I can share those moments with you. I hope some of the ways I described meditation or the ways I guided it helped in creating those. Like I said, I've been to all these different schools and really tried to find what works and tune out the stuff that doesn't. So, yeah, I really hope that's helpful for all of you. And
Super helpful.
anyone that
Yeah, really.
didn't share today, I'm still just really glad you're here and that we got to have the time together. Actually, let's just have a moment where we look around at everybody here and you can imagine them smiling at you and appreciating you. I'm glad you're here. I really like the sense of community, that we're here, not just hanging out, not just friendly, but also helping each other with peace and enlightenment. To me, that's the most wonderful kind of friendship. So yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. I appreciate you being here. And to all of you here on the live stream, thanks too. And if you loved it, please share the live stream or share the video with others, so that they can also have this experience, or that you can talk about the issues together or practice the meditations together. Okay, so I guess it's that time of the day for us to have our dedication. And this is just like a little mini meditation to remember and reaffirm everything we did and to carry that on into our lives and to share it with others. After that, I'm going to leave, bow to the enlightened being, and we can all meet outside. We'll have one big bow all together. I'm going to shift it up a little rather than one bow. Just everybody bow to the enlightened being, and we'll come out. We'll all bow to the live stream, and then we just get to hang out together, and we'll end the live stream. Okay, so for our dedication, take a deep breath. Remember what it felt to be in meditation. to have awareness and peace and stillness and spaciousness. Take a few breaths, and each breath go deeper into that. And may we dedicate that we have more of these moments every day. Peace and awareness, that we make our moments beautiful and empowered. Dedicating that we cherish what we practiced and what we learned. We cultivate it, we make it stronger and more awesome within us. Dedicating that you give yourself moments of happiness, that you give yourself moments of appreciation and joy.
Oh, there he is.
Dedicating that every day you give yourself an intentional breath. Dedicating that the positivity that you learned, even without teaching it to others, you share it with everybody by being peaceful and wise and present. And hopefully you'll also find ways to either teach it explicitly or just the way you talk about things to be more aware and more thoughtful. And ultimately we create cultures where everyone's more aware, more thoughtful, where there's ideas that trap people in worries or confusion. We find ways to dissolve them and free people and free ourselves to make an enlightened world. Let's take a couple of breaths and just empower that feeling of an enlightened world within us. And as you leave and bow to the enlightened being, bow to the enlightened being within you and the enlightened being within everyone. Alright, do you guys all want to just face me and give a bow to everyone on the live stream? Shada, could you come in a little closer? And maybe you can just imagine, there's the 7 people who are here now, but maybe over the next 1,000,000 years, maybe thousands of people might watch this. So just bow to all of those people in this moment we shared together. Thanks, everybody.